right, so moving on from last year to, I suppose, maybe in October, November, December, what people would have thought was like, well, 2021 will be different. Um, 2021 seems to have told 2020 that it doesn't have shit on him. Um, Obviously, like prep for this year has been different. There's no live competitions and there's so many heavy restrictions being put on gym. Like, Sam, you're training, you've got access to a facility, but you've got no one around you really. PD, you're training at home. Emma, I suppose you're probably like largely unaffected, really. Like most of
Um,
your training takes
home
place
gym
at home
it
all the
does.
time. You've got, I suppose, the added benefit now, although you're probably not using it at the minute, but you've got your black box set up outdoors as well. Like, how important has it been for you to, I suppose, set something like that up? Obviously, it's just serendipitous. Like, you weren't thinking 5 years ago, I'm going to build a gym in my house in case of the pandemic. But like, it's incredibly useful that you've got it all there and all on your doorstep.
Oh yeah, like without a doubt. Obviously, during the first lockdown, that's when I made the decision to have the outdoor gym because they kind of said, you'll be able to train people on outdoor gyms like quicker than you'll be indoors. So obviously, we jumped at that and built a nearly 2,000 square foot outdoor gym, to try and get first one in there. But yeah, like yeah, no one could plan for that, but I think everyone's kind of upgraded their home gym setup. So quite a lot of people now live with their nice luxury of a home gym now.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose when you're not a high level athlete, though, it's a bit of a kick in the face every time you walk downstairs and you walk past the room, being like, "What excuse can I find not to go in there now?" Has it been difficult for you then, not having, I suppose, like something that you would have put up a lot in the past of like every Saturday, like your kind of training partners coming up and training with you, and maybe that's becoming more difficult? Like, has that affected you at all, or is it just kind of put the head down and keep going?
I wouldn't like it hasn't like hugely affected me. It's obviously affected my own athletes more so
Hmm.
because like it's a big it's a big thing. Like obviously PD they would have like system Sundays kind of thing, and we kind of had just like just the daily grind Saturdays, and we would have had like 25, 30 people throwing down in the outdoor gym and stuff, and it kind of just created such a nice atmosphere. Now to have that taken away from you, it is obviously hard, um but yeah, no, it is what it is. Just training by myself, and what we done was myself and Sam Briggs. We do 2 to 3 workouts a week, exactly the same. We just benchmark off each other every week, and we kind of get a gauge of where we're at.
I assume that's like a text rather than the two of you logging into Zoom and setting your cameras up for each other.
We've done quite a few Zoom ones. I know it sounds
Really?
stupid, but it's still quite. We did all the Dubai workouts, those qualifiers, that online competition. We done all those through Zoom, and then we did all our games prep was through Zoom, just with Joyce, our coach, watching. Um, it's all we could do was to create that kind of competitive environment as much as we could because
Yeah.
you were a time frame to be warmed up, be ready, be prepped for it. So it kind of keeps you a wee bit more accountable to the time.
Yeah. Um, PD, you're still with System, and I suppose you've made some leaps. You've kept some of your home comforts, like you've still got your cows outside the door, like looking in and supporting you and stuff.
Yeah, good, good,
Um,
good company, you know.
yeah, you've definitely upped your game at home, though. You've got like, I mean, it still looks fucking freezing, but it does look much
I just
improved from
got a
where it
new
was.
heater the other day, thankfully, and it's great. It's 3.2 kilowatts. It's pretty intense. So yeah,
Has your preparation been like, say, hugely affected? Like, do you think, are you someone that thrives in that kind of community environment, or do you think that you kind of know what you have to do by now, and you've got your relationship with your coach to a point where you can just go and do it at home?
I wouldn't say it's not affected. It's still like it definitely is going to be. You know, as Emma says, if you have them days training with people, you always do push that bit harder and things. Um, you know, so yeah, it definitely is affected. But sure, well, I wouldn't say everybody is. Some people, you know, do still get the same intensity, or have some people come around training with them. But you know, it is what it is. Everyone's in the same boat. Um, and you know, I guess whenever you're doing some things, it's probably more so in workouts. Whenever you're doing just general monostructural type things, you sort of know rightly if you're slacking off or not. You can still work hard, but it's more so in the workouts. Whenever you actually have to dig deep in it, it's probably what you miss from pushing off other people. But at the same time, you don't forget to hurt. So whenever it counts, you just have to go to that dark place and suck it up.
Yeah. Sam, you've made some, like we talked about Emma largely being unaffected. You've made some pretty fucking drastic changes in the last 12 months. So like you've signed up with Max and Training Think Tank. I suppose firstly, like you had some successes with Phil in the prepared programs. What was the reasoning behind that change for you?
Well, I was just talking to some of the guys who follow in my gym. They follow the design, and they're kind of associated with Training Think Tank, and they kind of said, give him a message and see what happens. It was more just I messaged him and said, kind of, would you be interested in coaching me? And then it kind of just progressed from there. Turns out he was, which is nice. And then the kind of thought behind it was that because I was following a generic program for the last like 18 months, that something more personalized, especially with it was a good time to do something more personalized with the kind of change to the season, change the structure, change how things are going a big change anyway. So I thought, well, might as well, if I'm going to change anything, now's the time. So the last, I think, 6 weeks I've been working with Max, and just to kind of touch on not having training partners and such, what's kind of cool is they have like a leaderboard and stuff on their app. So some workouts you'll see, like you did the same workout as Noah Olsen or Travis Mayer, and you can kind of compare results. So it kind of keeps you a little bit more accountable to some intensity, knowing that you want to be the big dog on the leaderboard some days,
Yeah. I think I'm the only one with kids here, haven't I? I think if any of you saw Travis yesterday do his PB, his snatch and his back squat after like fucking 3 days after having a child, like
crazy.
What a fucking asshole. Like how selfish is he? Like, could he not have held off that video for a month and then released it rather than like, oh yeah, I just had a child there like 3 days ago. It's my fourth child as well. So I already know what fucking tiredness is like 3 times over. And then I'm just going to add this emotional roller coaster in the day before I test 2 big lifts. The dickhead. What are like the big changes that you've noticed? So obviously like it's a personalized program as opposed to a generic one, but have you noticed like radical changes in the intensity or in the kind of focuses that you're making in it?
Yeah, the focus has definitely changed. There's a lot more focus on each session, and there's a lot more intent. And I have to answer to someone, so I have to put in results. Like I could kind of just do my own thing. If I had a day and I skipped something, I could just skip it. I could. I didn't really have to put in results anywhere. No one was reviewing what I was doing. There's no individual focus. So what's good is like every week I'll have a call with him on Zoom and ask how I'm going, and we'll review some stuff, and he'll look through the results during the week and stuff, and it's just kind of holding me more accountable to going hard and training, I guess, and progressing.
I'd say he's intense enough, is he?
Not really, he's actually really sound. He's a really normal guy. He's good crack as well.
You've also moved to chapter 2 since like your last season finished, I suppose. And you got Jamie and others like who be, a decent level, and as you mentioned, also doing like some of the Training Think Tank stuff. Do you think that's changed things for you as well?
100%. There's a lot more, like it's a lot more competition focused at the gym. There's more athletes there that kind of want to do competitions. Like I would have been the only one in the previous gym just focusing on competitions. So it's kind of lonely in that sense. But here there's a whole kind of crew. Jamie's obviously super successful athlete, and then there's people like Filippo and stuff. Just the atmosphere is completely different. They want to see you push. They want to see you die on the floor afterwards. They'll kick you off the floor and roll you away in a sweaty mess. It's a different environment, but one that I think would definitely help you thrive for preparing for competitions a bit better.
Yeah. PD, have you made any? Obviously, your training environment has changed from your last open prep, but have you made any changes to the type of training that you're doing?
Well, I suppose there's a bit more, some more dumbbells and stuff in it. But yeah, it probably has a wee bit. It's probably not at the minute, not a great amount of volume or really in training. Just is more so focused on intensity, and things. So yeah, bar probably training with people. Like, I can't really say there's any drastic changes. Throwing a few more dumbbell exercises in there. That's about it.
Did you make any like knee-jerk kind of reactions after the games, Emma? Did you like change your focus anyway, or like kind of shelve some things that you were working on that you think you've thrived at and focus towards other things that you need to work on more, or do you kind of trust the process and go with how it's been going?
I think well we're trying to get strong at the minute, because it showed at the games I was probably one of the weakest athletes there, which never usually happens for me. But yeah, just obviously like squatting loads and just doing quite a lot of strength for me. That's obviously a massive change, because usually I'm sat on doing about 60 to 90 minutes conditioning a day. So obviously conditioning has been dropped slightly, and just doing a lot more strength work. So I haven't really touched any intensity or WODs in quite a while now. So the Open's going to be an absolute smack in the face, but it'll be fairly character building for me. So but yeah, no, my focus just obviously for May is to be a hell of a lot stronger and obviously improve on coming basically last on the strength events.
Do you think, Sam, you can over adjust after a season is over? Like, do you think you can swing too far the other way?
You probably could, I guess. I think if you focus too much, say one workout went really bad, and you focus far too much on it, I mean, you could probably overtrain that, and maybe you could hurt yourself. Or I don't think, as long as you have a coach, I think you won't be neglecting anything. I think they'll keep you on the right path. If you were to do it on your own and just do chest to bars 7 days a week for a few months, I think, first of all, you need a coach, and second of all, it's a terrible idea.
Yeah. I'd be doing fuck all. I can't do chest bar, so I'd just be doing nothing for all those sessions then. PD, you seem to be doing a lot more running lately, or you're showing a lot more running anyway. Does your training drastically change, we'll say, from November, what you're doing in November, to what you're doing now in February with the Open around the corner? Or would you have more of a similar outlook to Emma, where like you kind of trust yourself in the Open, and like Sam touched on it earlier on, where you might be relatively confident you'd be in the top 10% and can focus further ahead?
Yeah, well, that would be the focus. You sort of be hoping, looking past that, so you would be trying to not really peak as such for the first part of it, and be looking more towards quarterfinals and towards that. So I've just been doing a bit more run recently, probably just varying up training a wee bit. It's good to get out, and it's a sort of good time to get some endurance in the legs, I guess. Plus it's an extra session out from the gym as well, from training by yourself. So it's a good alternative to getting outside. So yeah, it has been running maybe twice a week is probably a bit much, a bit more than usual at the minute, but just with the training block on at the minute, it's working out well. So yeah, but yeah, I don't really know where I was going with that. I can't remember what the question was. Sorry. I was just rambling on.
That's grand. Were any surprised to see, so obviously you kind of accept that there's going to be a contingency plan put in place for moving events online and stuff, but were any surprised to see the last chance event just immediately said this is definitely going to be online no matter what happens?
Not really surprised, I guess. I suppose it had to, don't they? Like, but especially this year, because it can be from anywhere in the world, so they don't know where people are going to be from. So I guess it's probably had to be online, doesn't it?
Yeah. Does it like change your attitude towards the season, say, Sam, when you know it could be a similar season to last year with things being cancelled and being moved online and a lot of shifting and moving of plates and stuff underneath you? Does it make you any less determined to, perform? And like, would you be in any way tempted to be like, fuck, will I just like kind of do it, but really think about 2022?
No, definitely not. I think whatever's thrown in front of us, if you're not prepared, you're out of your mind. I think you just need to be as prepared and as fit as possible, because they could throw anything at you at this stage. I think it'd be foolish to expect anything. I think you just got to have a very open mind about how things might run, for this year.
Yeah, they've been kind of preparing for this for years with their unknown and unknowables. Like they can, no matter what they do, they can be like, "Well, we told you." Like, you have to be ready for everything.
Yeah.
You were all at the last regionals in Berlin in 2018. Is that something? Is it the return to that kind of format something that appeals to you in the long term more than sanctionals? Emma, like, is that something maybe that you would be more inclined to be excited about than you were about the sanctional events?
I don't know. Like, obviously, like traveling to Dubai and like, like my hope was obviously to go to West Coast Classic and Madrid and stuff. Like, my flights is still booked for West Coast Classic. Obviously, it's postponed, and my entry is still in for it, kind of thing. Which I actually need to get on to those to get that refund. But no, it's like, I think it's quite exciting as Sam like experienced quite a lot of the sanctionals, getting to travel to a different country and getting to like compete with a different pool of athletes at every event. It's actually it was so exciting. And obviously now and to like getting the opportunity to go on a couple of team events and stuff like that there, where now it's like, well, you don't really have the opportunity to go team if you want to. It's quite appealing to sponsors as well, and it's like usually quite a nice, like it's quite profitable as well. Doing some of the team events. So obviously you can't do that now. It's like, right, you have this one event, and this is what your whole season's geared around again, and you're going to be competing against the same athletes every single year. So yeah, but like obviously, like it's awesome. It's great spectators. It's great for sponsors. And so obviously it's less traveling because it's in Europe, but I personally think the sanctional route is quite fun.
Is
Being able to travel.
competing outside the window of the season at events like, we know Wodapalooza is not going to be part of the CrossFit season, and the Italian Showdown today said that they're not going to be, but they might do something outside the window. Is that something that appeals to you, or do you think that would be kind of too much noise in your off season?
It's kind of like if you're taking your season seriously, like as soon as my season's done, like I always take a month to 6 weeks off. I've taken off season every single year from 2018. And a proper off season, like I don't train. Like the only thing I would do is keep up swimming, just to keep the body moving. So if I was to not take it seriously, well then I'll compete in the off season. But if I want to then go and better myself in 2022, then to compete in the off season, I'm just going to be burning the candle at both ends.
Yeah, you've kind of painted the lads into a corner there for their answer on that question. But Sam, would competing outside the window of the season be something that appeals to you?
It definitely would appeal to me.
Not taking it seriously then.
No, not at all.
No.
I just think there's so many opportunities that you'd like if you're just focusing on the regionals or continentals and the games. You're missing a huge chunk of time where you could do some cool experiences, like go to Dubai or travel.
I suppose it comes down to different points of your career as well, I guess. Like if you're like young in the sport, so you have this like indefinite competitive period ahead of you where you can kind of choose to be like, a bit more, maybe, I'm trying to think of a word, like laissez-faire or whatever. That makes me sound like such an asshole, but like more kind of scattergunny and be like, oh fuck it, I'll go to Miami or whatever in January. Whereas I suppose MMPD might need to start thinking about like, okay, well, when do I really need to peak and like absolutely peak this year? Whereas you can be like, well, I'll chance my arm at some of the sanction or some of the old sanctional events this year, and then next year I'll see how I fared last year and go off that.
Yeah, I think like everyone has a different point in their career, and obviously really different goals as well, which comes down to that. Like obviously, like I will definitely compete in one major event in the off season. But obviously if I was like carrying an injury or a niggle or anything, obviously I would have to like pull back to rebuild kind of thing. I think it just depends on how healthy the body is and how you performed the season before.
PD, would you ever do masters?
Don't know, to be fair. Like, I'm really not sure. I think it's tough to call. You know, if you're fit and healthy and still enjoying it, then maybe. But I do think there's admiration in what Fraser's done. You know, just stepping away from, maybe you say, look, I'm done high level competing. Yeah, just leave it there. It'd kind of be hard to take a back step whenever you feel like you've been at a certain level and then just feel like you're diminishing. You know, if you would keep progressing and things were getting better, I think it's easy for people in masters. Maybe you started quite later in life and they constantly keep progressing. But if you're starting to regress, I think it would just be constantly demoralizing training all the time and not seeing that. Obviously, it's going to happen with age, but you know, why put yourself in that competition experience if you want to do that? So, the honest answer is I actually don't know. It would just depend how things went, you know, and how the body was.
Yeah, because I think it's interesting, like how few people make the step into masters from the elite. You know, like you think of all the big elite athletes who've retired and, well, maybe not even retired, just like stopped and then haven't actually said anything, but like the door is open for them to do masters and there seems to be an aversion to it. Like I heard Castro talking about it and he more or less said he was, you know, a bit pissed maybe that like people like Josh Bridges and Dan Bailey won't do masters, and he kind of seems a bit perturbed by it. Like, whereas I think what PD is saying there seems to be kind of a similar thing of people are like, well, it's not just because it's masters doesn't mean it's easy, first of all. So if you're starting to decline and then you start moving into another sport and continue to decline, it's just going to make you miserable, really. Like,
yeah, and plus just the more time, like if you want to train at that level, it just requires more time, and people just generally comes with age, obviously, whether you have families or whatever responsibilities, it's just more difficult too. So
I think
it just doesn't become as much.
The new system of having these events in the off season kind of lends itself to those people. Like you look at Dan Bailey coming over for Filthy last year, where you know, like, okay, on the off chance he won it, he would have got to go to the games and, like, you know, great. But it's an opportunity to monetize yourself and to use the, suppose, the fan base that you build up, and as well, even if you have a shit fan base, you still have an opportunity to go somewhere and do something for a bit of crack and like put into practice what you've been doing for the last 12 months or whatever.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's just the opportunity, as you say, to experience different places and you know, different environments you never would have been in, meet new people. So that is the only downside of you know, not being there. But yeah, it is what it is, you know.
Yeah. PD, will finish with a quick fire with you this time. Coach or compete?
Compete.
Gymnastics or cardio?
Cardio.
Run or row?
Row.
Bench or squat?
Bench.
Oh yeah.
What's your favorite rain flavor?
Melon.
Oh my god, really?
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
mine too.
What?
Why? What's yours?
Like
Lemon.
any of the others apart from the watermelon?
Yeah.
The apple one is nice.
Yeah.
I think.
Just reminds you too much of apple stars as a teenager.
Yeah. Same every time I drink it, I'm like, oh.
Just drink it down by a canal or a river or something and you'll be grand.
Yeah, reminisce.
All right, PD, and Castro announces an open workout and you look at it and think, right, I've got this. What's in the workout?
Probably rowing on wall walls.
Yeah, that sounds about right, actually, to be fair.